Clemencia Labin is showing here a production called Velada, which took place in Maracaibo in Venezuela. And it's, for my impression, it's a very down-to-earth project. Please give us a little idea how it starts, how it works, what you have done with the people in a certain street in Maracaibo.
Well, it all started for me also as a sort of not something that I planned. I was just in my country and I was having some vacation and I went back to the place where I was born, that's Maracaibo. And suddenly my aunt said the best water ice in the city is in the old part of town. You want to come? And I said, of course. And I went there. And for the first time, because this water ice was being sold in one of these little houses in this street, which is now the street of Velada, Santa Lucia. And when I went there and I saw all this color, these houses all painted in incredible bright colors, I said, this is my world and this is my palette. Now I know that I really belong here, even though I have been so many years abroad and I've been living away for such a long time. I identify myself totally. And I said in a sort of emotional, my father had died not too long ago when I went there, and I was sort of emotional because I had to help my mom a little bit, and I was back in my own home for a little longer period than just a small vacation when I used to do before. And I sort of identify with the colors, with the how everything smelled. Those were all things that remind me of my past. And I felt very much at home, and I said, I have to do something here. And everybody thought I was crazy. That was the beginning of this.
So it was a kind of, you choose a street, you decide to make out of the street an art street. And I mean, these people are just normal people who probably had no relation to art before. So what happened to these people after the project? How long did it go?
It goes already 11 years. I started and I didn't say I take the street because nobody, when I ask somebody about something, they ask me, what kind of a sect are you? What do you want here? And I say, I'm not a sect, I'm an artist, and I want to do something with all of you. And I want to celebrate, and we're going to make a party. And then I saw this empty space. It was a house that only had like beautiful tiles from the 50s or 60s, and I loved them. And it had no roof or anything, and I said to my aunt, oh, I love to have something like this. And it just had the colonial windows, and she says, well, I know the owner of this rundown house because that was the house of her parents that they don't live anymore. Maybe I can ask her. Maybe she sells you the plot. And she asked, and I got it for nothing, for very little, because this area was very criminal. And it's still difficult now, but it has changed since we are there the 11 years. And at that time, when I bought it, they thought, you're crazy, what are you going to do there? You cannot live there, they'll kill you. And
but you didn't bought the street, you bought...
I bought one house, not even a house. I bought a wall, 2 windows, and the floors. The floors were there, the old floors. And then I had an uncle that had done this Lago de Maracaibo. He was an engineer. He was already old too. He was the youngest brother of my father. And he says, if you are patient, I'll do it for very little money. I'll recover this house for you. But you have to be patient because I'm an old man. It took him 3 years to do it. So this whole process goes back to even more than 11 years. And when he finished it, I was so happy. And I saw the space was so beautiful because I told him, just do simple, what it was before. I don't want to do anything. And he tried to do it that way. And when I opened it, I was so proud of my little house there. And I opened it up and I invited the whole neighborhood. And the father in the church allowed me to do a sort of an action. And I was able to throw 300 balloons in the air. And I put like small little Madonnas on that I had painted on and photocopy. The originals I kept, but they were not real Madonnas. They were like Madonnas that I invented. There was one that I would call La Madonna que se salió del cuerpo, that went out of the room, or the Madonna with the great heart, and I had a huge heart. And the ladies, the old ladies there and the people that live, they said, we never seen these Madonnas. Where do they come from? And I told them, Madonna, is the Virgin Maria. It can be in any projection. And they were all they went all bananas and trying to get all these cards and so on. It was a beautiful action. And I was lucky because the priest, the father at that time, he was actually a Monsignore that was doing 1 year of local work at a lower level, but he was very open and very intelligent. He was a Jesuit. And when I told him all these crazy things, I want to throw a look, and he says, you can do all of that.
So, but out of the street project, Velada, comes a kind of a museum. So your house, and you're having exhibitions there in Maracaibo every year.
Every year.
And you have a certain concept with that museum. You invite
I invite young
other artists.
Yeah, I invite young artists. And I can only pay for one artist, and he has to bring in his suitcase what he thinks is a good choice of art. And what he brings in his suitcase is, you call it, a suitcase full of art for Maracaibo and for the Velada. But this whole street, like I said, I started with this house, and then the people, when they realized I became a neighbor, and then they allow me, they started liking me and seeing that the people that would come to my house for these parties that I made, they were sort of different people, they were nice, and they bought also, because I told them, they all do food to survive, they make little stuff, and I say, well, sell all this typical food. You will find enough people that buy, and it was that way. So they started also making money.
Right.
And everything turned to this point where everybody was waiting for me to do this 1 week of Velada.
And can you give us certain names of people who have been exhibiting at your room and people who are you plan to do exhibitions with?
Yes, for example, they're like I said, they're in Venezuela, they're better well-known artists that have been doing. There was an artist that did a whole, Pedro Terán. He covered the whole house from the outside with gold, with gold that you have in these sheets. And this project, he financed it through somebody that found the money, because I cannot give every artist so much money. We are too many. So they have to find their own financing, and they sort of, I only invite a couple. They get a room. Sometimes they have friends where they can, when they are. The ones that I invite get a room in one of the houses of the well-to-do people of the city that I know. And they are all willing. They have helped me also. And there's a lady there. Sometimes she had 6 artists in her house. And this type of help is what I told you at first, that my mom used to say. There, you are somebody. You have friends. You have relatives. You have people that help you. They would come when we were there. In the first few years, we were sort of doing interaction and trying to hang up everything together. They would come with a huge box of tequeños. Those are like, well, that's like a pastry filled with cheese that we have there for the artists. And so everybody was collaborating in a way. Some would give me the roof for the artists, some would bring me some food for the artists. I had an aunt who loved me very much, she's now dead. She would say, I pay you for what we call evento gastronómico. That is like one big meal, one big table with food, and everybody could take. And so this way you put everything together. And it started getting bigger and bigger, and more people from all over the country would send me letters. Can we come? We do everything, and sending me projects. So I started then having to select also this. For the first time this last year, there were so many applications, and we only have 44 houses, which is already a lot, because there are 44 little museums, each house. But nevertheless, there were 182 people that applied. Okay. Groups. Some of these groups had 20 artists or something. So it was very difficult, and we had to choose. And we told them, the ones we didn't choose, we told them, do it better, do it again. Sometime you will come, but we don't have the space anymore.
So that was a short advertisement for Maracaibo and a street with 44 museums. But I'm interested still in, you live in Hamburg for the last 35 years. What are, after your show here in the Venezuela Pavilion, what is your next project?
Well, my next project is, of course, now I have to finish up what I started this year for the Velada. That means I have to get all the projects that they send me, do the catalog, organize this and that. And I have an exhibition coming up after we are done here. We have to do also in our country, in El Museo de Bellas Artes, we are doing a big show with the artists that were here in the Biennale. So for that I have to work. I also have a gallery in the United States, and there I'm also doing a show this year. So let's hope that I make all of that, because you know everything takes time, and working with 44 houses and doing like trying to be like the mom and the sponsor and the everything for so many people, it takes time. You have to, luckily enough we have internet. Without internet it would be impossible, because I also, like I said, I live in Germany, my studio is in Germany, I have a husband, my children are grown up, but I do have family, so I have all kinds of other relationships, but I always did it, and I'm doing it. Like when they used to tell me, you're going to lose your family if you do art so intensively, and I said, no, I do what I do intensively, and they all know it, that I'm doing it with my heart and with full of power, so they are all willing to collaborate, and so were my children. You know, when they were small, sometimes I came from the academy, and I had not prepared the dinner or whatever, and I was there and I said, what do I do? And I started doing something fast, and they would laugh at me and say, Mommy, again, they call it Zigeunerbraten. They go, again, that's what the gypsies eat, no? Again, Zigeunerbraten, because you didn't have time. Okay, and that's life.
So we wish you good luck. As I said, 44 museums in one street in Maracaibo, so maybe worse for visits, and good luck for the future. Thank you very much, Clemencia Labin, for this interview.
I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.